Managing Classroom Technology. Sarah had finally reached the point where she felt completely prepared for class. Her lesson plan was organized, the student workbooks were on every desk, and she had arrived early enough to test the projector, microphone, and internet connection. Everything worked perfectly, or so she thought. 5 minutes into class, the projector suddenly went black. The room became quiet. Every student turned toward Sarah, waiting to see what she would do next. For a brief moment, panic crossed her mind. Then she remembered something David had told her during one of their planning sessions. Technology is a wonderful teaching tool, he said, but never let it become a requirement for teaching. Sarah smiled at the class. It looks like our projector has decided it needs a coffee break, she joked. She walked to the whiteboard, sketched the diagram she had planned to display on the screen, and continued teaching while another instructor checked the projector. A few minutes later, the presentation was back on the screen. Most students hardly remembered the interruption. After class, David nodded. You didn't lose control of the classroom. Sarah smiled. I realized the students came to learn from me, not from my PowerPoint. That experience taught her one of the most valuable lessons about classroom technology. Technology should support instruction, not control it. Today's instructors have access to remarkable teaching tools. Interactive presentations, document cameras, polling software, online videos, digital whiteboards, wireless microphones, and virtual learning platforms have transformed the way real estate education is delivered. Used effectively, these tools make lessons more engaging, improve student participation, and help explain complicated concepts that would otherwise be difficult to visualize. However, every piece of technology introduces one important question. What happens if it doesn't work? Experienced instructors answer that question before class ever begins. That's why testing equipment before students arrive is so important. Confirming that the projector connects properly, the presentation opens correctly, the microphone has a full battery, the speakers function properly, and the internet connection is stable eliminates many of the most common classroom interruptions. Those few extra minutes of preparation often prevent unnecessary stress once instruction begins. David often reminded Sarah that technology failures are not a matter of if, they're a matter of when. Every instructor eventually experiences a frozen computer, a failed internet connection, or a presentation that refuses to open. The difference between new instructors and experienced instructors isn't whether problems occur. Rather than apologizing repeatedly or allowing frustration to interrupt the class, experienced instructors calmly transition to a backup plan. Printed outlines, whiteboards, flip charts, extra copies of important forms, or a second copy of the presentation stored on another device can keep instruction moving while technical issues are resolved. Students rarely remember that technology failed. They always remember how the instructor handled it. As Sarah became more comfortable with classroom technology, she also discovered that more technology doesn't necessarily create better learning. During one class, she experimented with several interactive tools, including live polling software, videos, online quizzes, and multiple presentation platforms. By the end of the lesson, students seemed more focused on learning how to use the technology than on understanding Arizona real estate law. David smiled when she described the experience. Technology should simplify learning, he said, not compete with it. That advice stayed with her. She began using technology only when it genuinely improved understanding. Live polling became an excellent way to check student comprehension. Screen sharing allowed online students to review contracts together. A document camera made it easy to demonstrate how to complete Arizona forms without everyone crowding around the instructor's desk. Each tool had a purpose, and every purpose supported the lesson. The same philosophy applied to virtual instruction. Online classes require instructors to think beyond the physical classroom. Camera placement, lighting, microphone quality, internet reliability, and screen sharing skills all influence the student experience. Students attending remotely deserve the same professional instruction as those sitting in a classroom. Taking time before class to verify audio, video, and presentation software demonstrates professionalism and prevents unnecessary interruptions once students have logged in. One afternoon, Sarah's internet connection briefly failed during a virtual continuing education class. Rather than becoming flustered, she followed the backup procedures she had established before the course began. Within minutes, she reconnected, resumed the presentation, and continued exactly where she had left off. Afterward, one student sent her a message. I was impressed with how smoothly you handled that. Sarah realized something. The student hadn't complimented the technology. They had complimented her preparation. By the end of the semester, technology no longer made Sarah nervous. She viewed it the same way David always had, as another teaching tool, nothing more, nothing less. The most important connection in any classroom isn't between the computer and the projector. It's between the instructor and the students. Technology should strengthen that connection by making lessons clearer, more interactive, and easier to understand. When instructors prepare for technical challenges, use technology intentionally, and remain focused on student learning instead of equipment, even unexpected problems become opportunities to demonstrate professionalism and confidence. Instructor tip: always have a backup plan. Save your presentation in more than one location. Carry printed notes or key documents. Be prepared to teach without technology if necessary. Your students will remember your professionalism long after they forget the technical issue. Question 1. Why should instructors avoid becoming overly dependent on classroom technology? Answer: technology is an excellent teaching tool, but equipment can fail unexpectedly. Instructors who prepare backup plans can continue teaching with confidence, ensuring students remain focused on learning rather than technical difficulties. Question 2. What are some important items to test before class begins? Answer: instructors should verify the projector, presentation software, internet connection, microphone, speakers, screen sharing functions, and any other technology that will be used during instruction. Testing equipment in advance helps prevent unnecessary classroom interruptions. Question 3. How can technology improve student engagement without becoming a distraction? Answer: technology should support the lesson by helping students visualize concepts, participate in discussions, complete activities, or better understand complex material. Every technology tool should have a clear instructional purpose rather than being used simply because it is available.